What's up guys, this is Teddy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do external authentication for Google and Facebook. There was a bunch of tutorials that showed how to do Facebook. There was a bunch of tutorials that showed how to do Google, but I'm going to show you how to do both of them at the exact same time, and it's relatively easy. So for all the trouble of figuring out how to do both within the same controller, make sure to smash that like button, make sure to smash that sub button, and check out some of my other videos because I have all my videos are .NET. But what you want to do, go to Google, type in .NET Google Auth for one, and then type in Facebook Auth for the other one, and then go to the documentation that Microsoft has. I can't go to the actual API point, but it will show you exactly what to do. And I'll just give you a couple gotchas. There's a couple of gotchas with the Google one, and that is you need to make sure that you're doing your redirects right. Like I said, I want to go in there and show you how to do it, but it shows my secrets, and I actually use these for a production app, so I can't, show you, but it's really simple. So you go in there, you get your client ID, you get your secret, and then you fill out the URI for it, and that's all you need to do. And it's really self-explanatory. I'll leave the links down in the description. And you do the exact same thing with Facebook. And the Facebook one even gives you all of the steps in nice little pictures for it. And it's, like I said, exact same thing. You need your ID, you need your secret, and you need to fill out this URI for both of them. And for this one, you need sign in Facebook, and then for the Google, you need sign in Google. And if you don't make sure to make that distinction, look right here, you're going to get errors. You're going to get a URI redirect error. So if that happens, that's what's going on. And then also, when you deploy this, you obviously need to change this from localhost to the domain of your website, but it kind of goes without saying. But so I'm going to go ahead and get the client ID, and I'm going to go ahead and get the secret for both of them, and I'm going to show you guys how to wire this thing up. So first thing, let's go ahead. We got to start with our program CS first, and we need to get that thing knocked out. And it's super easy to do. So we're just gonna go in here. We're gonna go builder.services.add authentication. Then we're gonna make this a function. Actually, no, first, just to kind of make it look good. I guess you could do that, but I'm gonna try and make this, look real good. And we're gonna go Facebook. And then we're going to go options. Hold on. Need to lowercase that. And then we can go down here. Then we can go add Google. Just like that. And they're lighting up red because we don't have the necessary packages. So we got everything else, but we do not have Google and Facebook authentication, and that's kind of the beauty of .NET is it gives us these cool little packages. So we're gonna go Google, and let's see what we can find. I think we got to be a little bit more specific than that. So let's just type in Google Auth and ASP.NET Core authentication Google. And then we're gonna go ahead, install that NuGet package. Then we're going to go in here. We're going to do the same thing for Facebook. So we're going to go Facebook, go down here, and we're going to do authentication for Facebook. We're just going to go ahead and accept. Make sure to save this. And let's go back. And these should be lit up, not underlined red. They're lit up in like a good way, I guess. Okay, so next we need to go to our options. So we need to hook up a builder pattern, whatever you want to call it, just a normal programming pattern. Then we're going to go in here. We're going to go app ID. Then I'm going to fill this with dummy data, and then once we actually go to test it, I'm going to put my actual API key in there, but just remember, this is when you go to Facebook and you get those values from the actual Facebook webpage, this is where you're going to put it. So, and then we're going to do the exact same thing. Not too complicated. The complicated part's going to be when we actually start making the controllers. The controllers are complicated. So we're going to go in here, and then this one, instead of it being called an app ID, it's going to be called a client ID. We're going to call it test. Then we're going to go options. Then we're going to go client secret. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to put test in here. And remember, this is going to be a string of numbers. It's not going to be test. And that's really all we need to do for the program file. Now we need to start working on the actual controllers for this. So when we make this, what is going to happen is a button's going to be clicked and a form's going to be submitted to a external login controller. So that's the one we're going to make, what's called an external login controller. Kind of just exactly the way it sounds, not anything too complicated. And this external login, let me see here, we'll go ahead, start, and we'll put this, let's just put this underneath login because I think that that will be appropriate naming. So we go to here, we're going to go post, then we're going to go allow anonymous, and obviously we want to allow anonymous because this is a public facing endpoint and we want to allow anybody to, because you can't lock down a register, because then people won't be able to register. So, and this is going to be a post request. So next thing is we want to go in here, and then we're going to go action result, and we're going to call this external login. Then we're going to have a string, and we're going to provide a provider. And if you don't know what this is right now, you'll know here in a second. It seems a little confusing right now, but it's going to make sense. So we have this, and we'll just leave this empty for right now, just so you know that we have a controller back here that's being posted to. And then we're going to actually go into our login, and this is where we're going to put the actual HTML that's going to handle all of this auth. And the way that you do this, and you see this almost, you see this kind of everywhere in terms of the actual authentication for it, is you, hold on, and you can just copy this. You don't need to actually go through and put all of this in here. So what you want to do is you want to paste this HTML down at the bottom, and it's going to look bad, but when you put it in your own website, you can apply CSS to it, make it look really fancy. But for right now, this is just going to give us a nice little bootstrap button, and we have this sign-in manager right down here. And we talked about sign-in managers. If you don't know what a sign-in manager is, you probably want to go look at my previous video, because I talk a lot about what this is. And we're going to inject this sign-in manager from identity into our HTML. And what's going to happen is that we have these schemes, and we have the sign-in manager, and identity is going to do like 99% of the work for us. And then we're going to have these login providers, and it's going to list them. Otherwise, it's going to spit out an IEnumerable, and it's probably not going to be right. But the login providers, so if you do have login providers, what this is going to do is this is actually going to go and get the Google and the Facebook packages that we just installed. And magically, and I really don't know how any of this works, it's going to put them into this, and it's going to iterate over them. And and you could do this with Twitter. You could just hook up Twitter to this, and it'll spit out Twitter, and you'll have all of the modules that you installed. And I think there's even more. There's like a GitHub one. There's all different types of auth modules that you can play around with, and this is gonna just magic, like I said, just magically handles them. It's a lot of magic, but it's good magic, trust me. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to change this. We're going to have to change this to email here in a second, but we will worry about this later. We will worry about changing this username to email later. And for right now, what we're going to do is let's just worry about getting the actual data to the controller and start working on our controller up here. So what we're going to do, and this is going to be a lot of code. I'm not going to lie. This is a lot of code here. And if you just want to copy and paste it, feel free to use it in your project. I have no, I'm not going to get mad. If you copied my code word for word and pasted it into your project, I would literally not care at all. So we're going to go here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this URL and we're going to make our own URL, and then we're going to pass it in to what's called a challenge. And this is more magic. we're doing a lot of magic, and what's going to happen is that we are going to it's going to create this challenge property for us. And I honestly don't even know why they call it a challenge, but they do. Okay, so we're going to go sign in manager, and then we're going to go configure external authentication properties, and then this is what we're going to pass in to. We're going to pass in our provider, and we're going to pass in our redirect, and that's going to be what handles all of this. And the redirect is going to be, it's going to go essentially to Google, and Google is going to check your redirect, and it's going to do the redirect for you. So we're going to go here, and then we're going to do this challenge, and I don't know what the challenge is. So a challenge result, it's some kind of specific iAction result that only applies to .NET. But it works really good, and if it breaks, you'll learn more about it. But if you just want to use it in the way that I have right here, you won't need to learn anything more about it. So let's just go ahead here and see if we've got this thing actually working, and make sure that we don't have any errors and that we can actually see our buttons. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to log out. And we're going to go over here. Okay, great. All right, and then we're going to go down here, and here we go. So now we have, previously we did not have this before, and once again, Google and Facebook are going to actually take care of this. So we're going to go here, and this is erroring because I'm going to go over here very quickly, and I'm going to paste in my values just over here, just out of the screen. And I am going to hopefully be able to log in after I get these in here. So I'm going to go here. Let me see. And I'm going to post this. I got to post 4 of them, so it might take me just a second, but please bear with me. So I got 2, and then I'm going to go 3, and then 4. 3. Okay, and now the very last one over here. Okay, so mine is good to go. So I'm going to bring it back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and restart it. We will see what we get. So we're going to go back over here, and I'm going to test out the Facebook one first. Okay, so now we have our external callback. Previously, we didn't have anything before, but what's going on now is that we don't have this external callback that we had given to Facebook. So now Facebook has responded, but we don't actually have the callback. So the callback's going to reach back out to our server, and then this is when the authentication is actually going to happen. So got my GET request, and I'm going to go ahead and close out that. So back to the controller. So we're going to go back to the controller, And I'm going to close out of here, and I'm going to remove that debug button. And now we're going to actually work on the callback. So callback is going to be a hell of a function. It's going to be a big one. So hang on. All right, and the next one after this one's going to be really long too, but this is really important. This is something that's going to be actually very real world. So I know that this is going to be difficult, but please hang in there and we will get through this as quickly and as easily as possible. And if you don't want to, just go ahead and go get the code and copy it and move, you can go on your way. So here we're going to go, but if you want me to explain it to you, stick around. Okay, so we're going to go here. And then we're going to have an async, and then we're going to have task, action, result. And then here is where, if you noticed in the URL, we have external login callback. We have this callback thing. And within this callback, this is where we're going to pass in these values. There's also those values up there. And if we have an error, this is where we're going to pass it in right here. So we have error and null, just like that. And now we need to actually start. So if our remote error, we'll just do some error handling for the remote error. So if the remote error is not equal to null, let's see, go model state.add model error, and put string.empty here, and let's see, error from external provider. So if we got that error from our external provider, so if it passes in that error, what's going to happen is it's going to throw a model state error. And go back here, and let me see, we'll have view, and this is a GET request. So what we will do is we'll just go back and we'll pass in that login, and it'll redirect back to the login page. You could do it another way, but I think that's probably the best. And plus, I've actually never, if you set this up correctly, you're probably not going to get that error anyway. So we go here and sign in manager, and then this is where we're going to get external login info async. And what this is going to do is this is actually going to get the Google account, or this is going to get the Google information. I honestly don't know how it does it, but you will see what happened. You will see if you hook the debugger up to it and you look through it, magically Google sends back information, and then you get all the user information, or Google or Facebook, whichever one that you prefer. Okay, so this one, redirect to action, and we're in the account controller, so we can, I'm pretty sure we can just bring this back to the login. I think that's the name of, yeah, our action is called login, so I'm pretty sure that's valid. Okay, then we're gonna go up here, we're gonna go result. So this is kind of an important one. This is what's going to sign you into the external provider, and I think IntelliSense is already knowing what we want to do, and it is persistent. You could go back and change that. If you want your cookie to be persistent, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want people to stay logged in for a really long time, like I said, nothing wrong with that. All right, succeeded, but if you don't, put false. Okay, so if we succeed, the next thing that we want to do is we want to update the external authentication tokens. So let's see, sign in manager dot update external authentication tokens async, and then we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna toss in that info. Then here we're gonna go return local redirect. Then we're gonna do return, and this is gonna be the return URL. So essentially, if we log in correctly, that return URL is going to put us back. And if you don't know what a return URL and you came in here off of Google, essentially you could just redirect, but this is a return URL is going to be better because it's going to send them back where they came from. Don't send them to the home page, you know, send them from the page that they came in on. Send them back on the horse that they came in on. If that's funny or if that makes sense to you or if that helps you remember it. Okay, so we're gonna go URL, and this is not ideal. Obviously, you don't want to put view, you never want to use view data, but we have to use this view data because I would have had, and I'll show you what I mean. I would have had to use 2 view models, and by the time you get done hooking up 2 view models to the same view, you might as well just, in my opinion, just use the view data. And as long as you're not going too crazy with it, it really doesn't even matter. So provider display name, and the provider display name is going to essentially either be Google or Facebook in this case, or GitHub or whichever other modules that you installed. So we're gonna go provider display name. Once again, this is going to be Google, and as I mentioned before, this get external login info async is just going to give us back Google or Facebook, whichever one. It's just going to be a string that says Google or Facebook. So we're going to go email, and we're going to go in here and we're going to extract our email out of the cookie. There could be another way to do this, but this is a good way. There's nothing wrong with this. So claim types.email. Then we're going to go return view, and we're going to go external login confirmation. And we need to make this external login confirmation, and we need to bring this in right here. So we got here, and we brought that in, and now we need to make let's go ahead and make this external login. Well, we need to make a view model for this. Like I said, I'm just going to show you what I mean. This is way better to explain it visually because it's going to be really difficult for me to explain what's going on, and we need to go ahead and shut this down. Okay, and we're going to go here, and we are going to create a external login confirmation. I think that's the name. Yeah, external login confirmation. Okay. And you don't even need an external login confirmation, but this is good for if you have extra information that you need to get from the user. Say like you need to get an email, because if you don't do this external login confirmation, what's going to happen is that you're not going to be able to get that. The user will be able to go to the website, but say you need to get their gender or something, or there's some kind of information that you need in order to make the website better. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's just hook up our model external. I don't know if we created it, external login view. Yeah, let's go ahead. I told you guys we're going to create that model, and we're going to do it. Okay, external login. External login view model. Okay, and for this external login view model, all we're going to have is we're going to have string, and we're going to have email, and then for here we are going to have string, and then we're going to have the name. And for the email needs to be required. You don't want them, because if you don't put this, they're not going to fill it out. You would think that people would, but if you don't, this is like a very difficult thing that I had to learn on my own, is that if you don't put required, you don't do validation, and you don't essentially force people to log themselves in or force people to give you their information, they will not do it. That's a tough lesson to learn. Okay, so here now we're going to change. Remember, I told you we're going to change this to the email. We need to change this to email. You could do username, but for external logins, you got to do it by email. If you don't do it by email, it's not going to work. Okay. And we probably broke, yeah, we broke this. So we go here. We're going to go ahead and pass in the email. Pass in an email. And that looks good. Now we need to go back to our external login view model, or external login confirmation, and then we need to hook this up. External login view model. Okay, and now we'll just go in here and I'll show you guys. So we'll go here, register, and we'll have H3 associate your, and remember I was telling you that we had view data, even though it's not good programming practice to have view data or use a view bag, but with the external login view model, it will conflict with, let's see. So the external login view model is the email and it's the name, but here we have these two other values and you want these to be separate, and you don't want to go in there and try to throw in another view model. You definitely could, but it's going to be, I don't know. Sometimes you got to break convention to, save yourself a lot of extra work for nothing, in my opinion. Okay, and then here you can just go into my GitHub and paste this. You don't want to, that we're basically all we're making is a form. There's really nothing special about this, and you don't want to type all of this stuff out because there's no learning purpose in it, and you really just want to get, I just want to get this thing built, and it's a lot of boilerplate, to be honest with you. Let's see. Now we want to, let's see, form. Let's see. Please add additional information. To make your account better. You always want to phrase it in some kind of salesy way because you don't want to phrase it as work because then they won't do it. Okay, so associate, let's see, and then we're going to go here. You have successfully authenticated to your, go down here, and I actually spelled that wrong. Okay. And then over here, and you could do this anywhere. A trick that I use is that I just look for form group and then I just come into another form. I just go over here and I just paste in a couple inputs. So we go, there's one, backspace that a little bit. There's two, backspace that. And we need the email, we need the name. So we have name, name. You have name right here. And then we also need a button, and we can just go into here and just grab a button. So go here, make sure it's within the form. That's another gotcha that took me forever to learn. Always make sure that your button is within the form, and then anything that you want to submit to this post endpoint is within that form. And I'm trying to think what else is going to be needed. So let me go back and look at the controller. So we have the external login callback. We have external login confirmation. I don't think we have the confirmation, so we need to go back. And we also need to put this view model in here. I forgot about that too. So let's go ahead and let's take care of that. And we're gonna go email. And we're gonna go email. Great. Then let's go ahead and let's do the confirmation. So what's going to happen now is that you need to submit. Remember I was talking about you need those extra values. Well, now we need to submit those to our end. So now we're going to have a post, and this is going to be allow anonymous. We're going to go validate anti-forgery token because it's a post request. We're going to go public async. Then we're going to go task I action result. Then we're going to go here and we're going to go external login confirmation. And this is where we're going to pass in the external login view model. So we're going to go here and we'll call this, we'll just call it model. And we'll bring in a string. Make sure that this string is nullable, otherwise you're going to get lots of errors. And also just toss in the null. This is the only way I could get it. You would think that doesn't make sense, but for some reason this is the only way that I could get it to work and not error out all the time. And if you know a better way of doing this, please leave a comment down in the description, because I racked my brain for like a really long time trying to figure it out, and that's the only way that I could do it. And I know it's probably wrong, but eventually you just kind of got to make a decision on stuff. So we're going to go here and now, and it's crazy because you would think that this little chunk of code right here would prevent it from erroring out, but it does not. So obviously post request for this, we need to check if that model state is valid. And let's go back and let's make sure our external login view model, I believe that I put, okay, yeah, make sure that your email address is required. And also, let me see here, required. And we're gonna go email address. No, we don't, no, that's not correct. Let's just make it required. And if there's some kind of name that you want to put in there, maybe you could do like a regex or regex. You could put your own stuff in there, but I'm just going to leave mine required. So user.info, and then we're going to go back into our sign-in manager, and we're going to go get external login information async again. Then we're going to go down here and we're going to go check info is null. And if this is null, we're going to return an error view. And the error view, I'm sure if you're already at this point that you know what the error view is. It's a shared view and you just kind of have access to it for stuff like this, just like random errors. Then we're going to go here, we're going to go new app user. So new app user is equal to username is equal to model.name. So we're gonna go model.name. We're gonna go email is equal to model.email. And that should be right. And then we're gonna go down here and we're gonna use our user manager. And our user manager, you don't need to even, if you look here, we have like almost no repositories. Identity has done all of this code for us. So if you're ever manipulating a user, it sounded kind of bad. If you're ever adding a user, if you're ever CRUDing any users, just remember that there's probably an identity method for that. So don't code if you don't have to, but I mean, you get it done either way, so it doesn't matter. So result, and this is going to be, we're going to go back down to our user manager, and I spelled succeed wrong. Okay, I'm just going to use IntelliSense. So we go IntelliSense there. Okay, so next thing that we need to do is we're going to sign them in. Yeah, sign them in. So sign in async. Got user. Do you want to log them in persistently? Put true, yes or false or true, whichever one. I'm going to put false, but it really doesn't matter. User manager identity user does not contain definition for sign in async. Let's see. Oh, okay, this is sign in manager. Wrong one. Sign in manager. So result. I'm trying to think. Oh no. So what we want to do is, so var app user, then we're going to create our user, and if this succeeded, what we want to do is, that looks right. Oh no, all right, here. We're gonna bust out our user manager, and then we're going to add login async. That's the correct one, sorry about that. So go here, we're gonna go info. So add login async. This is what's going to add the user to the specific area of our table. If you look here, this is just, so user login, whenever you actually log, you're not going to log in users. You still will to a certain extent. What's going to happen is that it's going to add a user to here, and they're not going to have any password or anything. If you see here, this is the authentication for an external provider. There's no hash. There's actually no password here. And where it's going to be stored is in, let me see, ASP.NET user logins, and you're going to have this login provider, and you're going to have Google, and then you're going to have the user ID right here, and it's going to associate it that way instead of having like an actual password, and that's what the add login async is. So FYI, and we don't want to store this in a result. Actually, we want hold on, this code is getting long and I'm starting to get confused again. So we're gonna go here, and you could also add a role up here. I don't have any roles in my table, but you could easily just go up here, and if you have a role, and I'll just type it out for you guys. So go here, and if you have a role, go add to role async. So add user manager, add to role async. We're gonna go user, and I'm gonna have to add users here in a little bit, but I don't have any right now. But we'll add them here in a second. But if you want that, I'll actually just leave that there too for anybody else. So we've got one, and then if the actual result, if that succeeds, we want to even go lower succeeded. Now this is when we want to actually go into the sign in manager, and then we're going to actually sign in the user. So if we've if we've added the user to the database and we've successfully been through all this, this is when we're going to go in and actually log them in so that they have the cookie so they can go around the website. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna go sign in manager dot update external authentication tokens async, and then pass in that info. Great. And the last one is going to be a local redirect. So the difference between a local redirect, and I think I actually talked about this in a different video, is that a local redirect is going to grab the URL and it's going to redirect that way instead of you having to put in like a view or something, or it's just going to get the URL for you. And so you don't have to worry about any of that. And then here, what we could do, we'll just put here, could not log in user. And this will give us a validation error in case this doesn't go correctly. And I'm trying to think of what type of, there was a specific error that, I think that this error is more than likely user already exists, because a lot of times people will try to already make one like that. Depending on your setup, you probably want to go back and add different model state errors, but everybody's going to be a little bit different, so I'll leave that up to you. So we're going to go here, and then we're going to go view data. So we've got our view data again, and then here we're going to spit. So if everything goes not according to plan, redirect them back to the return URL. And then if everything, once again, this is just by convention because you have to return something, and this will also bring back the model with the validation errors from here. Make sure you have that view and you have that view model, so it will return the validation errors. Otherwise, if you don't pass in that view, you don't pass in that model to that view, it's not going to give you validation errors. So let's go in here and let's go ahead and boot this thing up and see. Oh gosh. So we got the login view model. So password sign in async. Let's see here. So email. Okay, well, we want to do password sign in async is equal to email. Okay, so last things last before we run this is that you want to change, remember that you want to change this to the email, and if you got any other errors with this, just make sure that we're authenticating by the email. And I'm trying to think right here. So this should be email. This should go through, and I'll just kind of go through and show you all the changes that I made, and you can compare it against the GitHub just in case. But that should be pretty much it, and we are going to go ahead and try to log in. So go ahead here. Let me see. So let's go in here, and then we're going to go to login. Let's test out each one. So we'll go Facebook first. So associate your Facebook account and add additional information. I think it actually tried to go ahead and log it in. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go back, make sure I am logged out and that there's no other cookies. Actually, let me just go in here. We'll go through to make sure that there's no cookies in here. And we'll go here. Then we'll go log in. Let's go Facebook. And you want to go ahead. Let me see here. Log in through here. And it's going to give, it gives me an error because I have a name already associated with this within the database. So let me see here. So if you already have a name in the database for this, it's going to give you an error. See, yeah, so I already have a username for this, and that's the only Facebook name that I have. Actually, let me go ahead. I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to delete this from the table. We got to be official. All right, so we're going to go here. I'm going to delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that. And so it should have nothing to authenticate to. And not the best way to do things, but we got to test this thing to make sure it works. So we're going to go here and let me see here. So let's go ahead, log out of that, go back in. We're going to go incognito. So localhost. And let me make sure that localhost 7288. So we're going to go localhost 7288, just like that. And we don't So we're gonna go here, go log in, go Facebook. The redirect failed because the redirect is not whitelisted in the app client's OAuth settings. Make sure the client and the WebAuth login are okay. Let's go back. Since I deleted it from the database, we can go here and test. Please work. So we're gonna go down, get external, new app user, please work. Yes, it worked. Okay, thank God. And we have logged into the app as our hello test. So let's go ahead and log out, and I'm gonna go back in the database and screw up these values so that I can actually test it. And this is, do not do this with a real database. Please don't do that. That is very bad practice. Then I'm gonna test with a different one. I'm gonna test with this one. And we're gonna go back, we're gonna go log in, and then we're gonna test Google. So this one, Python app tester, we'll do test, we'll scream. Then we'll go down, we'll test it one more time. So go down, var info, please work. And I think the user already exists. Okay, so user already exists. Let's try. So let's go back and we will go, we're gonna have to log out. So log in and we'll try with somebody else. We will try, let's try with Teddy Smith Dev again. That value actually, I'm pretty sure that value is already in there. I think. No, it's not. So let's go ahead. Okay. And I think it's not going to work because the validation is, yeah, this field is required. At least it caught it. So we'll give it the same name. We'll go back. We'll step through the debugger one more time. Go down. Go create, please. Yes, and it worked. Thank you, God. Okay. Looking good. So now we've got Facebook Auth, we've got Google Auth, we are ready to go, and we are going to move on to other parts of security. We're going to be tackling security, cross-site scripting, so HTML sanitization, and all types of other cool stuff. Hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching.